Today, we're talking about the risk management step-by-step process. I'll be referring to the 7 processes based on the ISO 31000 standard. The first process step is that you must establish the context to the environment. This is effectively the risk profile related to the type of activity and the environment you are operating within. For example, consider doing a project in your own country compared to doing the same project in a war-torn nation. The risks are usually very different. Once the context is set, then you identify the risks, which are actually called risk events. This is usually achieved by brainstorming in a group setting or considering the risk events in other similar projects. Once those risk events are identified, we have to analyse them. And we do this by considering the likelihood or probability of the risk event happening, and then the consequence or impact if the risk was actually realised. Each organisation will have a number of levels of likelihood and consequence, but the definitions for each level forms part of their unique risk management framework. Now, the likelihood definitions normally have a text-based description and can also state a frequency of occurrence as a guideline, whereas the consequence definitions often have just a general text-based definition, but also extends to specific definitions for categories like financial, human injury, commercial, compliance, service disruption, reputation, and environmental risks. Now, once we have a defined likelihood and consequence category for each risk event, we then use the risk matrix to determine what is known as the risk factor. The most common approach is to evaluate risks using a 5x5 risk matrix, meaning there is 5 definitions of likelihood and 5 definitions of consequence that are used in a table form to correspond to what is known as the risk factor. Although clients may use different terms, risk factors are typically defined as low, medium, high, and extreme. This part of the process is the actual evaluation of the risks. The rule of thumb is that any risk event having a risk factor at a high or extreme level needs a risk treatment strategy. This strategy is a key part of the risk management plan and is used to determine which risk events and treatments are in place. Risk treatments are covered more in detail in the next video. Now, the risk management plan in a project becomes part of the project management plan. As the project management plan gets approved and does not change unless a change process occurs, we have to still keep track of new risks and the status of their treatments. So you'll find project managers have both a risk register as well as that risk management plan. And the risk register is a dynamic register for the execution phase of the project. It records all the new risks and tracks the treatment strategies. If a risk event is realised and it has a negative outcome, then it becomes an issue. It inevitably is transferred from the project register or risk register through to the project issues register. Now, corporate risk management plans, on the other hand, tend to be updated by the organisation's normal planning cycle, or when a major event occurs that requires it to be refreshed. Back to the ISO standard. The last 2 processes is the fact that risks change, and therefore we need to continue to monitor and review the risks. And the last process covers the importance of the frequent communication and consultation that is required to engage with key stakeholders and share information. In summary, risk management is all about treating the risk events that could have a negative impact on achieving your business objectives.